Alex leaned over the edge of the spaceship's observation deck, staring at the swirling blue and purple clouds of Zephyr's atmosphere. The planet below seemed alive, a mix of sparkling crystals, floating rivers, and forests that glowed faintly under the light of two suns. It was the kind of planet most humans had only seen in simulations, yet here he was, one of the first humans to set foot on its surface. His heart raced with excitement and a little fear. "Careful, Alex," said Myra, his teammate, a young scientist with sharp eyes. "The scanners show the crystal forests are beautiful but fragile. One wrong step, and we could damage something millions of years old." Alex smiled and nodded, his gaze fixed on the glowing trees below. "I know, Myra. But just look at it. This place, it's unreal." The team had landed 2 days earlier. They had explored small areas near the landing site, scanning the flora and fauna, collecting data, and carefully documenting everything. The planet seemed calm at first, almost peaceful, but there was a feeling of being watched, a quiet, constant sensation that made Alex uneasy. "Maybe the locals don't like visitors," Myra joked, though her smile was tense. Alex laughed, turning away from the view. "Locals? Myra, if there are locals, I hope they have a sense of humor. Otherwise, first contact could get awkward." The team chuckled softly, but Alex's mind wandered. He had always been the adventurous type, the one to take risks, the one to make jokes at the wrong time. He had joked in meetings, in simulations, even in dangerous situations before, but nothing like this. As they descended into the crystal forest, the air shimmered with tiny floating lights, like stars trapped just above the ground. Alex felt a thrill of excitement. "This is going to be amazing," he said aloud. "Imagine what we'll discover here. Plants that glow, rivers that float, maybe even intelligent life." The team spread out carefully, scanning the area. Suddenly, a soft hum filled the air. Alex froze. It was faint at first, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. Then it grew stronger, more deliberate, as if someone or something was moving toward them. Myra's voice was low. "Alex, do you hear that?" Alex nodded, his heart thumping. "Yeah. Sounds like someone is coming." From between two tall, crystalline trees, a figure emerged. It was tall, taller than any human, with smooth, shimmering skin that reflected the sunlight. Its eyes glowed softly, golden and intelligent. Long, elegant limbs moved gracefully, and its presence seemed to command the forest itself. Alex's mouth went dry. "Whoa," he whispered. Myra stepped back slightly, her scanner beeping. It's alive. It's intelligent. It's beautiful." Alex, trying to mask his nervousness, felt a sudden impulse. He looked at the figure and, without thinking, shouted with a grin, "Marry me." The words left his mouth before he could stop them. He immediately realized how absurd it sounded. A human, joking about marriage with an alien being who had just appeared out of nowhere. His face flushed red. The figure paused, then tilted its head slightly, almost in amusement. Alex's heart skipped a beat. "Did it understand me?" he whispered to Myra. Then, in a voice that was soft but carried authority, the figure spoke. "I was hoping you'd say that." Alex froze completely. His joke had been met with, what exactly? Approval? Curiosity? Something deeper he couldn't yet understand. Myra gasped. "Alex, that's the Queen." Alex turned to her, confused. "Queen? What Queen?" Myra shook her head. The legends say Zephyra has a ruling being, a leader chosen by the planet itself. No one expected us to meet her, not like this. The alien stepped closer. Every movement was precise, elegant, and filled with a strange warmth. You speak humorously, human, it said. But your words carry courage. Few beings would dare speak so openly. Alex tried to recover from his shock. I didn't mean, it was just a joke, he said, his voice shaking. The alien's eyes softened. Even jokes reveal truth. You do not fear me. That is rare. Alex swallowed hard. The team was silent, the forest around them glowing and vibrating slightly as if it were alive and aware of the moment. He realized that the air seemed different here, charged with anticipation, like the planet itself was holding its breath. I'm Alex, he said finally, stepping forward despite his nerves. I'm part of the human team exploring Zephyra. I am Serena, the figure said. Her voice was melodic, soothing, yet commanding. You speak with humor and bravery. That combination intrigues me. Alex blinked. Bravery? I just shouted something stupid. Serena's eyes gleamed. It was not stupid. Humor is a form of courage. It shows willingness to face the unknown without fear. Alex's team exchanged looks, half in disbelief, half in awe. Myra whispered, she's extraordinary. Serena stepped closer, her hand extended slightly, a gesture both inviting and regal. Come with me, she said. There is much you must see. Alex hesitated. The logical part of his mind screamed to be cautious. The unknown here was immense, and he was dealing with a being far beyond human understanding. Yet, something in her gaze, a mix of intelligence, curiosity, and warmth, compelled him to follow. He glanced back at his team. They nodded, hesitant but trusting him. Taking a deep breath, Alex stepped forward. The forest opened into a clearing, revealing a palace unlike anything Alex had ever imagined. Crystalline towers rose into the sky, reflecting the two suns and scattering rainbow-like patterns across the ground. Floating walkways connected the towers, and streams of light moved like rivers between them. It was breathtaking, beautiful, and otherworldly. Alex's jaw dropped. This is incredible. Serena moved gracefully beside him. This is my home, though it is also the heart of Zephyra. You will see much here that no human has seen before. Your presence is unusual, yet welcome. Alex could hardly believe what he was seeing. He had dreamed of exploring alien worlds, of making contact with new civilizations, but this was beyond his imagination. And yet, the strange warmth he felt in her presence made him feel safe. You speak boldly, Serena said, turning to him. You are unafraid of the unknown. That is why I welcomed your words, even when they seemed humorous. Alex chuckled nervously. I'm not sure I deserve any welcome for a silly joke. Serena tilted her head, eyes glinting. Sometimes, the smallest words carry the greatest meaning. You did not fear me. That alone shows your strength. Alex felt his cheeks warm. He had faced dangers before, storms on distant planets, malfunctioning equipment, and hostile creatures, but nothing had made him feel so vulnerable, and yet alive, as this moment did. The team began setting up scanning equipment, documenting the palace and its surroundings, but Alex found himself unable to focus. He was captivated by Serena, by her presence, by the mystery of Zephyra itself. As the suns began to set, casting long shadows across the crystal towers. Serena spoke again. You will have time to learn, human. But first, rest. You have traveled far, and your mind must adjust to this place. Alex nodded, still in awe. Thank you, Serena. She inclined her head, her expression unreadable but gentle. Tomorrow, you will see what Zephyra has protected for centuries. You may find it unlike anything you expected. Alex felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. He realized that his joke, the words he had thrown out without thought, had led him here to a palace, to a queen, to the start of an adventure far beyond anything he had imagined. That night, as he lay in the guest quarters of the crystalline palace, Alex stared out the window at the glowing forest below. The words of Serena echoed in his mind, even jokes reveal truth. He realized that perhaps his joke had not been a joke at all. It had been a bridge between worlds, a spark that could ignite something incredible. A smile crossed his face as he whispered to himself, I guess this is the start of something amazing. And somewhere, deep in the crystal forests of Zephyra, the planet seemed to shimmer a little brighter, as if acknowledging that the first human had spoken words that would change the future. The morning sun rose over Zephyra, casting long beams of light through the crystal towers of Serena's palace. Alex awoke with a sense of wonder, the memory of his first encounter with the alien queen still vivid in his mind. The palace was quiet at this hour, with only the soft hum of energy flowing through the crystal walls. He rose, stretched, and walked to the window. The forest below glimmered in soft shades of blue and green, and tiny orbs of light floated like fireflies above the crystal streams. Myra was already up, examining a set of alien scanners the team had placed near the palace's central tower. Morning, Alex, she said. You slept well. Alex smiled, rubbing his eyes. As well as I could. I keep thinking about last night, about Serena. Myra shook her head with a small laugh. You sound like a child meeting a princess for the first time. But I get it. That was unusual. Alex joined her at the scanners. Unusual is an understatement. I joked about marrying her, and she said she hoped I would. I don't even know what that means yet. Myra glanced toward the palace entrance. Better start figuring it out soon. She wants to show you things today. Don't be late. Alex nodded, his nerves tingling with anticipation. Today was not just about exploring a planet, it was about learning to understand an alien being who was unlike anyone he had ever met. As he walked toward the main hall, Serena appeared at the top of the crystalline staircase. Her presence was radiant, her glowing eyes fixed on him. Alex, she said in her melodic voice, today, you will see the heart of Zephyra. You will learn why my people have thrived for centuries. Alex felt a mixture of awe and humility. I'm ready, he said. Serena descended gracefully, and the air seemed to shimmer around her. Follow me, she said. But remember, courage is required, not only for the unknown, but for understanding. Trust and patience will guide you. They walked together along floating crystal bridges that connected different towers of the palace. Alex noticed that every step they took left a faint trail of light that slowly faded, as if the planet itself responded to Serena's presence. You are very different from my people, Serena said suddenly, her voice gentle. Your species carries curiosity, humor, and bravery. Most beings would fear the unknown or hide behind caution. You face it openly, even with mistakes and jokes. Alex chuckled nervously. I didn't know my jokes could mean so much. I was just trying to lighten the mood. Serena's smile was faint but warm. Even lightness can carry strength. Humans have a way of finding courage in small moments. That is rare in the universe. They reached a chamber that overlooked a vast valley of floating crystals. The valley glowed with soft blue light, and strange creatures floated gracefully among the towers of crystals. They resembled birds but with translucent wings that shimmered with energy. These creatures are our guides, Serena explained. They have existed for centuries and maintain balance in Zephyra. They respond to light, energy, and the intent of those who approach. Watch carefully. Alex's eyes widened as a small group of the floating creatures approached him. They circled gently, their wings leaving trails of sparkling light. He reached out, and one landed softly on his arm. It was warm, yet it seemed filled with energy. "Your touch is gentle," the creature emitted in soft tones, which Alex somehow understood, though no words were spoken. Trust is earned quickly with those who respect the unknown. Alex looked at Serena, astonished. I understand them." Serena nodded. "Yes. Connection is possible when intent is pure and courage is present. This is part of your gift, human. You may bridge worlds because you are willing to see rather than fear." Alex felt a warmth spread through him. For the first time, he truly realized that his place on this planet was not just as a visitor, but as someone who could understand and contribute. "Now," Serena said, leading him deeper into the palace, "I will show you the knowledge of Zephyra. We are a species that has learned from the stars, but we also value life, courage, and curiosity. You may learn much, if you listen carefully." They entered a large chamber filled with floating holographic images. The images displayed stars, planets, and the history of Zephyra. Alex stared in amazement. This was not just a record of events, it was a living archive. Crystalline panels shifted to show the lives of Serena's ancestors, their achievements, and their connection with the planet itself. "These records are our way of preserving knowledge without harm," Serena explained. "We take nothing by force. We learn, we grow, and we respect life in all its forms. Humans share some of these values, though your species is young among the stars." Alex leaned closer to the holograms, feeling a sense of humility. "Your civilization, it's incredible. You've maintained peace and knowledge for so long. We humans are just beginning to explore beyond our home." Serena's gaze was thoughtful. "Perhaps that is why our connection is important. You bring new ideas, new perspectives. You are bold, human. And boldness is often the first step toward greatness." As they continued, Alex noticed small details that fascinated him: glowing plants that absorbed energy from the floating crystals, streams of light flowing like rivers, and walls that responded to thought. Each element seemed alive, yet harmonious. Serena stopped at a large window that overlooked the crystal forest below. "Here, you may rest and observe. The forest is alive, not only with creatures, but with energy. It reacts to emotions, intent, and courage. Your presence here has already begun to leave an imprint." Alex knelt beside the window, watching the forest shimmer. Tiny orbs floated closer, circling around him like curious friends. He reached out again, and one landed lightly on his hand. It pulsed softly, and for a moment, he felt as though the entire planet was acknowledging him. "This is amazing," he whispered. "It's like Zephyra is alive and aware of everything." Serena sat beside him, her gaze on the forest. "It is alive. And it chooses who may walk among it safely. Courage, humor, and honesty are its guides. You have shown all three, human." Alex felt a mix of pride and disbelief. He had come here thinking he was just exploring a strange planet, and now he was being told that he had qualities rare enough to be recognized by an entire world. The day passed in a mixture of learning and quiet observation. Serena showed Alex the floating gardens, where plants absorbed light and energy from the suns and the crystals. She introduced him to scholars who were recording knowledge and sharing it with the living planet. Alex discovered that every action had a purpose, every interaction mattered, and the planet itself responded to the intentions of those who lived in harmony with it. By late afternoon, Alex had grown more comfortable with Serena. He found her curiosity about humans refreshing. She asked questions about human emotions, humor, and decision-making, and he answered as honestly as he could. Through their conversations, he realized that despite the vast differences between their species, some things, courage, kindness, and curiosity, were universal. As the suns began to set, casting long golden rays over the palace, Serena guided Alex to a balcony overlooking the Crystal Valley. "You have learned much today, human," she said. "But there is more to understand. Knowledge alone is not enough. Understanding requires empathy, courage, and trust." Alex nodded. "I want to learn. I want to understand." Serena's eyes glimmered. "That is why your presence here is important. You bring a new perspective, one that may change the future not only for your species, but for Zephyra as well." Alex looked at her, realizing that the connection he felt was deeper than he had imagined. It was not just fascination or curiosity, it was respect, trust, and a strange sense of companionship. He knew that his journey on Zephyra had only begun, and that this bond with Serena could shape the future of both worlds. As night fell, the palace glowed softly under the light of the twin moons. Alex stood beside Serena on the balcony, gazing at the shimmering forests below. The floating creatures circled around them, their gentle hums filling the air with a sense of calm and wonder. Serena placed a hand lightly on his arm. "Rest now, Alex. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new discoveries, and new opportunities to prove your courage. The path before you is not easy, but it is meaningful. Your presence matters." Alex felt a warmth spread through him. He understood that his journey on Zephyra was more than exploration, it was about building trust, forming bonds, and showing that humans, though young among the stars, could rise to challenges with courage and integrity. He smiled at Serena, a genuine smile of both respect and gratitude. "Thank you. I won't let you down." Serena's eyes softened, and she nodded. "I know you will not. That is why you are here." As Alex returned to his quarters that night, he felt a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. Zephyra was no longer just a distant, beautiful world. It was alive, aware, and ready to teach him the meaning of courage, trust, and the power of connection. And he knew that the bond he was forming with Serena would shape the days to come in ways he could not yet imagine. For the first time, Alex realized that his joke, the words he had spoken without thinking, had led him to a moment of true discovery, a bond that bridged worlds, and a path towards something far greater than he had ever dreamed. The days after Alex's arrival in Serena's palace felt almost dreamlike. Every morning, he woke to the twin suns rising over Zephyra's glowing forests. Every day, he learned more about the harmony between the planet, its people, and its queen. Alex felt like he was part of something greater than exploration. He was part of a living bond between species. But peace never lasts forever. One evening, as the twin suns set and the moons rose high, the palace grew quiet. Alex was in one of the crystal gardens with Myra and two other crew members. They were recording data about the glowing plants when a sudden vibration rippled through the ground. Myra frowned. That didn't feel natural. Alex stood, his eyes scanning the forest. The glow of the crystals seemed dimmer, as if the planet itself was nervous. Then came a low hum, different from the soothing sounds Alex had heard before. This hum carried tension, almost anger. Before anyone could react, a burst of light exploded at the edge of the forest. Figures emerged, alien warriors, armored in jagged black plating, their bodies covered in sharp markings that pulsed with dark energy. They were taller than Serena's people, and their eyes glowed with a hostile red. Alex's heart raced. "Who are they?" he asked, his voice low. Serena appeared almost instantly, her crystal staff glowing as she stepped between Alex's team and the intruders. "They are the Drossar," she said firmly. "Exiles who rejected harmony and seek only power. They want control of Zephyra, and they believe taking me will give it to them." The leader of the Drossar stepped forward, his voice deep and sharp. "Queen Serena. Surrender. Or watch your palace fall." Alex clenched his fists. He had seen threats before, but this was different. These beings were not just violent, they radiated hunger for domination. He glanced at Serena. She stood tall, calm, and unwavering, but he could see the strain in her eyes. The Drossar charged. Serena raised her staff, sending waves of shimmering light across the garden. The energy struck the attackers, slowing them down, but not stopping them completely. The Drossar pushed forward, their dark energy clashing against Serena's glowing defense. "Alex, get back!" Myra shouted. But Alex refused to run. Instead, he scanned the area quickly. His training as an explorer had taught him to use the environment. He noticed the crystal plants around them were pulsing with energy, reacting to the conflict. He remembered Serena's words, "The planet responded to courage and intent." He sprinted to one of the larger crystal clusters and placed his hand on it. "Come on," he whispered. "Help us." To his shock, the crystal pulsed brighter, sending out a wave of energy. The wave struck two of the Drossar, knocking them off balance. Alex grinned despite the chaos. "It works." Serena glanced at him, her eyes filled with both surprise and admiration. "You are connecting with the forest," she said. "Good. Use it." The battle grew intense. Serena moved with grace, striking with her staff, each blow sending arcs of light into the attackers. Alex, meanwhile, ran between crystal clusters, touching them and channeling his intent. Each time, the crystals answered him, releasing bursts of energy that disrupted the Drossar's formation. Myra and the other crew members used their scanners as improvised weapons, sending beams of light to push back attackers. It was messy, chaotic, and frightening, but together, they held their ground. The Drossar leader growled, his red eyes locking on Alex. "You, human. You are not meant to be here. You interfere in what you do not understand." Alex felt fear claw at him, but he forced himself to stand tall. "Maybe I don't understand everything. But I know one thing: you won't take her." The Drossar leader lunged at him, faster than Alex could react. But before the blow landed, Serena moved, her staff clashing against the attacker's weapon. The collision sent a shockwave through the garden, crystals shattering and light scattering in all directions. "Stay behind me," Serena commanded. But Alex shook his head. "No. We fight together." Something in his voice gave Serena pause. She looked at him for a brief moment, and in that moment, trust passed between them. She nodded. "Then fight with me." Together, they faced the Drossar leader. Serena unleashed waves of light with her staff, while Alex activated the surrounding crystals, creating bursts of energy that forced the enemy to retreat step by step. The ground shook, the forest roared, and the palace itself glowed brighter, as if the entire planet was joining the battle. Finally, with a combined strike, Serena's staff glowing with pure energy and Alex channeling the crystals, they unleashed a surge that knocked the Drossar leader backward. He staggered, growled in fury, and then signaled his forces to retreat. "This is not over," he hissed. "We will return. And when we do, the human will be the first to fall." With that, the Drossar vanished into the shadows of the forest, their dark energy fading. The garden fell silent, though the air still hummed with tension. The glowing creatures of Zephyrus slowly returned, circling the group as if checking on them. The crystals pulsed softly, calming once again. Alex collapsed to one knee, breathing heavily. That was intense. Serena moved to his side, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You showed courage, Alex. You stood your ground when most would have fled. You fought not only with me, but with Zephyra itself. That is something no human has done before." Myra approached, her face pale but determined. "You could have gotten yourself killed," she said to Alex. But then she smiled faintly. "Still, you did good." Alex laughed weakly. "Thanks. I think." Serena's gaze softened as she looked at him. "Do you see now why your presence matters? The Drossar are powerful, but with allies who bring new courage, they can be defeated. You are not just a visitor here, Alex. You are part of something greater." Alex met her golden eyes, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. "I didn't plan on being part of anything. But now, I don't think I can turn away." That night, the palace was fortified, and Serena's people prepared for the possibility of another attack. Alex's crew worked closely with them, sharing human technology and combining it with Zephyr's crystal energy. For the first time, humans and Zephyrans fought side by side as true allies. Later, on the balcony overlooking the forest, Alex stood with Serena. The forest shimmered below, calmer now, but still alive with quiet energy. "You risked your life today," Serena said softly. Alex shrugged. "So did you." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "I am queen. It is my duty. But you are human, from another world. You could have run. You did not." Alex looked at her, serious now. "Running never solves anything. I've seen enough to know that if you want to protect what matters, you stand and fight. Even if you're scared." Serena studied him for a long moment. "That is why you intrigue me. That is why your joke carried weight. You speak lightly, but your heart carries courage." Alex laughed softly. "So, you're really not going to let me forget that joke, are you?" Serena's golden eyes gleamed in the moonlight. "No, Alex. Some words are too important to forget." As the night deepened, Alex felt the bond between them growing stronger. He realized that this was no longer just an exploration mission. This was a fight for survival, for trust, and for a future where humans and Zephyrans could stand together against the shadows that threatened them. And for the first time, Alex welcomed the challenge with all his heart. The attack by the Drossar had shaken everyone in the palace. Though Serena and Alex had managed to drive the enemy away, the threat lingered in the air like a shadow that refused to fade. For 2 nights, the palace remained on high alert. Guards patrolled the crystal bridges, watchtowers glowed brighter, and the people of Zephyro looked to their queen with worried eyes. Alex could feel the pressure building. He wasn't a leader, not in the way Serena was, yet everywhere he walked, people stared at him with a mixture of curiosity and hope. He had touched the crystals, fought beside the queen, and stood against the Drossar without fear. To the Zephyrans, that made him more than a visitor. To Alex, it felt like an enormous responsibility. One morning, as the twin suns rose, Myra hurried into Alex's quarters, holding a communicator. "We just got a transmission," she said, her face tense. "From the Interstellar Council." Alex frowned. "The Council? Already?" "Yes," Myra said. "They heard about the Drossar attack. They say human presence here is too risky. They're ordering us to return home." Alex's chest tightened. He had expected some kind of reaction, but not so fast. "Return home," he repeated. Myra nodded. "They think if humans stay here, it could trigger a war. They want us out before things get worse." Before Alex could answer, Serena entered the room, her tall figure glowing faintly in the morning light. "The Council fears what they do not understand," she said calmly. "But Zephyra cannot be abandoned so easily. The Drossar grow bolder each day. Leaving now would not bring peace. It would bring weakness." Alex looked between Myra and Serena. His mind spun. The Council represented safety, order, and human responsibility. But Serena was right. If they left, the Drossar would see it as surrender. "What do you think we should do?" Alex asked. Myra hesitated. "You know what I think, Alex. We follow orders. We return home. We let the Council handle this." Serena's golden eyes fixed on Alex. "And I believe you should stay. Zephyra needs allies who will not run when shadows rise." Alex rubbed his forehead. He felt pulled in two directions. On one side was duty to his people, on the other was loyalty to Serena and the bond he had begun to form. Later that day, the Council's holographic projection filled the main chamber of the palace. Several human representatives appeared, their faces stern. One of them, an older man named Chancellor Rin, spoke firmly. "Queen Serena," Rin said, "your world is beautiful, and we respect its sovereignty. But human presence here endangers both our species. We cannot risk conflict with the Drossar. For the sake of peace, we must insist that Alex and his team return immediately." Serena stood tall, her voice calm but unyielding. "Chancellor, if humans leave now, the Drossar will not stop. They will see weakness, not peace. My people will stand against them, but we will stand stronger with allies. Alex has already proven his worth. He understands Zephyra in ways even my people did not expect. Why would you take that away?" Rin's expression hardened. "Because war is not the answer. Humanity is young. We cannot afford to be dragged into battles that are not ours." Alex felt the weight of every word. He stepped forward, his heart pounding. "Chancellor, with respect, this battle is ours too. If the Drossar succeed here, they won't stop at Zephyra. They'll keep going, and Earth could be next. You think leaving is safe, but it's only safe for now. Long term, it's dangerous." There was silence. The council members exchanged uneasy glances. Ren finally spoke. "You speak boldly, Alex, but you are just one man. Do you truly believe you can change the course of two civilizations?" Alex looked at Serena, then back at the council. "I believe one man can start something bigger. I didn't come here looking for this. I didn't plan to fight beside a queen. But I did. And I'm not walking away now." Serena's eyes softened. He speaks with courage. Courage your council should value. The council debated for what felt like hours. At last, Rin sighed. Very well. We will not force your team to leave. But know this, if your actions lead to open war, humanity will not commit fleets to save you. You will stand alone. The hologram faded, leaving silence in the chamber. Myra turned to Alex, her voice low. Do you realize what you've just done? If things go wrong, it's on us. No backup, no support. Alex nodded slowly. I know. But I couldn't abandon her. I couldn't abandon this world. Serena placed a hand on his shoulder. You chose the harder path. That is the path of true courage. Over the next few days, the humans and Zephyrans worked together more closely than ever. Alex helped design defenses that combined human scanners with Zephyran crystal energy. Myra and the scholars exchanged knowledge, blending science with ancient wisdom. Slowly, the palace began to feel like a fortress of unity. But not everyone agreed with Alex's choice. Some of his crew were restless. One night, while Alex was studying crystal energy patterns, his teammate Rena confronted him. Alex, this isn't what we signed up for, she said sharply. We came to explore, not to fight someone else's war. You're risking all of us. Alex sighed. I know it feels unfair. But if we leave, the Drossar will win. And when they do you think they'll stop here? No. They'll see us as weak. They'll come for more. Rena shook her head. Or maybe they'll forget about us if we leave. Maybe they only care about Zephyra. Alex looked her in the eyes. And if they don't? If they come for Earth? Do you want to explain to our children that we had the chance to stop them early, but we walked away? Rena hesitated. She didn't answer, but Alex could see the conflict in her eyes. The following morning, Serena called Alex to the great balcony. From there, they could see the endless crystal forest glowing in the sunlight. She spoke quietly. Your people question you. That is natural. Leadership is not about making everyone happy. It is about choosing what is right, even when it is difficult. Alex nodded. I never asked to be a leader. Serena smiled faintly. Neither did I. But the planet chose me, and now I choose to fight for it. You may not have asked, but courage has made its choice for you. You are already leading. Alex stood beside her in silence for a while. The view was breathtaking, but what struck him more was the quiet strength in her words. He realized that Serena carried the same burden he now felt: responsibility, heavy but necessary. That night, a council of Zephyran elders gathered with Alex and his crew. Together, they discussed strategies against the Drossar. Maps of crystal valleys glowed on the floor, and streams of light represented potential attack routes. Alex found himself speaking more than he expected, offering ideas on how to combine human tactics with Zephyran defenses. The elders listened, and for the first time, Alex felt like he was not just a guest. He was a partner. As the meeting ended, Serena approached him. Today you spoke not as a visitor, but as an ally. My people see it. I see it. You are no longer standing at the edge of this world. You are part of it. Alex looked at her, feeling the truth of her words. And I don't regret it. Not for a second. Serena's golden eyes glowed softly. Then we walk forward together. Whatever comes. The night sky of Zephyra stretched endlessly above them, stars glittering like jewels. For the first time, Alex no longer felt like an outsider looking at the universe. He felt like a bridge between worlds, a human whose courage had tied his future to an alien queen and her people. The decision had been made. The sacrifices were clear. And as the shadow of the Drossar loomed larger, Alex knew one thing with certainty: he would not walk away. The night sky above Zephyra looked calm, but everyone in the palace knew that danger was near. Scouts reported strange movements in the outer valleys. The Drossar were not gone. They were gathering in silence, preparing for a final strike. Inside the Crystal Palace, Queen Serena stood before her council with Alex by her side. The elders spoke in serious tones, their voices echoing softly through the glowing chamber. They discussed defense lines, supply routes, and the possibility of evacuation if the palace fell. Fear was present in their eyes, though they tried to hide it. Serena raised her hand. The chamber grew quiet. "We cannot live in fear," she said firmly. "If we run, the Drossar will return again and again. If we fight together, human and Zephyran, we may not only survive but change the future of this world forever." Alex stepped forward, his voice steady. "The Council of Earth will not send help. They fear war. That means it's on us. We stand here, we hold the line, and we prove that courage can beat fear." The elders exchanged glances. Slowly, they nodded. The decision was made. Preparing for the battle for the next 3 days, both humans and Zephyrans worked without rest. Crystal towers were reshaped to channel energy shields. Human scanners mapped the valleys for incoming movement. Watchtowers glowed with bright signals that could be seen for miles. Alex found himself leading groups of mixed fighters, Zephyran guards with crystal blades and human crew with rifles. At first, there was awkwardness. The Zephyrans moved with graceful precision, while the humans relied on quick reaction. But under Alex's guidance, they learned to trust each other's strengths. Myra coordinated the scientists, creating new devices that combined human sensors with Zephyran crystal power. Rena, who had once doubted Alex, trained beside him daily, her doubt slowly replaced with determination. Serena moved among her people, offering words of calm and courage. Wherever she walked, hope followed. One evening, Alex and Serena stood on a high balcony, looking over the glowing valley where defenses had been placed. The air was cool, and the crystal trees shimmered faintly in the moonlight. "You know the risk," Serena said softly. "The Drossar are ruthless. They will not hesitate to destroy everything." Alex nodded. "I know. But I also know we can stop them. Not because we're stronger, but because we're fighting for something bigger than power. We're fighting for trust, for unity. That's something they'll never understand." Serena's golden eyes held his. "You have given my people new strength. Even if the stars fall, I will not forget this." Alex smiled faintly. "Then let's make sure the stars don't fall." The arrival of the Drossar at dawn on the 4th day, the alarm echoed through the palace. From the far valley, a black wave of movement surged forward. The Drossar had come. They moved like shadows, armored and relentless, their strange weapons glowing with dark energy. The ground trembled beneath their march. Zephyran guards formed their lines. Humans raised their rifles. Crystal shields hummed to life, covering the outer walls in shimmering light. Serena lifted her crystal staff, its glow spreading through the army like fire. "For Zephyra," she called. Alex raised his weapon high. "For Earth, for Zephyra, for all of us." The battle began. The battle for Zephyra. The Drossar struck with brutal force. Their energy blasts hammered the crystal shields, shaking the palace walls. Zephyran archers fired glowing arrows that burst into radiant sparks. Human rifles cut through the darkness with sharp flashes of light. Alex moved among the fighters, shouting orders, pulling wounded to safety, and firing with steady hands. Rena covered his side, her aim sharp and unyielding. At the front, Serena unleashed waves of crystal energy, her staff blazing like a star. Each strike sent ripples through the battlefield, pushing back the dark tide. Yet for every Drossar that fell, more appeared. The air filled with noise, shouts, blasts, the clash of crystal against steel. The ground itself seemed to tremble under the weight of the struggle. Despite the chaos, the defenders held. Human tactics blended with Zephyran precision. Shields shifted at the right moment, rifles fired in coordinated bursts, and crystal towers released focused beams of energy that tore through enemy lines. But the Drossar were not finished. From the rear, a massive war machine rolled forward, black metal glowing with dark fire. Its cannon charged with deadly energy, aimed directly at the palace. Alex's heart raced. If that cannon fired, the shields would not hold. The turning point, Myra, Alex shouted through his communicator. That machine will break us. Can you shut it down? Her voice crackled back. Not from here. Someone has to get close and overload its power core. Alex looked at Serena. She understood instantly. You cannot do this alone, she said firmly. He shook his head. But I can lead the charge. With a group of Zephyran guards and Rena at his side, Alex dashed through the chaos toward the war machine. Blasts rained around them, but they pressed forward, weaving through the battlefield until they reached the shadow of the massive weapon. Drossar soldiers guarded its base. Alex and his team fought fiercely, blades and rifles flashing in unison. The clash was brutal, but step by step they pushed through. At last, Alex reached the power core. He placed the human crystal device Myra had designed against the machine's surface. The core began to glow unstable, humming louder and louder. Time to move. Alex shouted. They ran just as the machine shuddered violently. A massive explosion ripped through the field, sending a wave of light across the valley. The Drossar war machine collapsed in flames, its cannon shattered. Cheers rose from the defenders. The tide had turned. Victory and silence. With their machine destroyed, the Drossar line faltered. Serena raised her staff high, and the defenders surged forward. United, they drove the enemy back, step by step, until the black wave broke and scattered into the forest. Silence finally fell across the battlefield. The ground was scorched, the air thick with smoke, but the palace still stood. Zephyra had endured. Serena lowered her staff, her chest rising with deep breaths. Her people gathered around her, voices rising in triumph. Humans and Zephyrans alike embraced, laughing and crying. Alex stood among them, his body aching, his clothes scorched, but his spirit alive. For the first time since the joke he had spoken in the crystal forest, he felt the true weight of what had begun. A new era. Days later, the palace was repaired, and the valley slowly returned to its glowing beauty. The Drossar had vanished into the shadows, weakened and silent. For now, Zephyra was safe. In the great hall, Serena stood before her people, with Alex at her side. Her voice carried through the chamber. Today we proved that courage is stronger than fear, and unity is stronger than division. Humans and Zephyrans stood together, not as strangers, but as allies. From this day forward, our worlds will walk the same path. The hall erupted in cheers. Serena turned to Alex and spoke softly, so only he could hear. When you asked me to marry you, you thought it was a joke. But it was not a joke to me. I had been waiting for someone brave enough to see beyond fear. Someone who could stand beside me not as a ruler, but as a partner. Alex's heart pounded. He met her golden eyes, and in that moment, he understood. He had not only found an ally. He had found a future. With the people cheering around them, Serena whispered once more. I was hoping you'd say that. Alex smiled, his voice steady. Then let's begin this new chapter together. And so, under the shining crystals of Zephyra, human and alien stepped into a new era, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals. Their story would spread across the stars, a tale of courage, trust, and a simple joke that had changed the destiny of two worlds.